So get ready for an exciting journey filled with inspiration. I invite you to join me on a brief journey through the 23 to 24 competition season, where I'll share what it meant for me. Let's take a few minutes to explore another world, a world where you can witness the life of a high performance athlete and understand the challenges and triumphs involved in reaching peak performance. Last year, after the conclusion of the season, I made a bold decision. I aimed to become a world champion. In 2022, when I decided to return to the ice, I possessed unwavering confidence in my abilities. That initial stage was just the beginning, a step toward convincing myself that my dream was indeed attainable. Despite skepticism from others, I persisted in believing that I could reclaim my status as a champion, regardless of age. So in September 2023, filled with joy and ambition, I embarked on a journey to Germany to elevate my training to new heights. By the grace of God, I was granted the opportunity to pursue my dream. Despite encountering numerous challenges and obstacles along the way, I remained steadfast in following my path. These experiences only reaffirmed that this journey was indeed my destiny. As the saying goes, when you're on the right path, the devil will always try to derail you. The season commenced on a promising note. September and November were months of rigorous preparation, culminating in the first competition in December. These 2 months served as a true test of my willpower as I confronted various challenges. Although the initial competition went smoothly, the results fell short of my expectations. It became evident that I still had many technical aspects to refine and emotions to manage. Realizing that I couldn't achieve success alone, I understood the importance of seeking support. Unfortunately, financial constraints prevented me from having my coach by my side at that time. It wasn't until early December that I had the privilege of working intensively with my coach for 3 weeks. Those weeks of focused training were instrumental in honing my skating technique and addressing the issues that had hindered my progress thus far. During the Christmas and New Year holidays, I found myself immersed in training. On Christmas Day, my fiancée, a distinguished Austrian champion, and I were the only ones on the ice rink. Our sole focus was on improving our skills, requiring daily sacrifices and unwavering dedication. January was poised to bring both the greatest challenge of the season and the realization of a dream. Between January 11 and 21, the World Masters Games were scheduled to take place, representing the most significant event in the world held every 4 years for athletes over 30 years old. Unfortunately, a week before the competition, a severe case of indigestion kept me away from training and threatened my participation. The disappointment was overwhelming. The sacrifices made to reach this point, countless hours of training and numerous efforts invested in this journey towards success, now seemed in jeopardy due to a sudden health setback. But just when it appeared that all hope was lost, a helping hand reached out to me. The deadline to confirm attendance at the championship was Monday, January 13th. The night before, my dear friends rallied around me with encouraging words and gestures of solidarity. Along with medications, they managed to get me back on my feet and prepared me for the battle ahead. That evening, I felt I was not alone. I had a true family by my side, ready to support me in any endeavor. With this newfound strength, I summoned the courage and determination not only to participate in the competition, but also to strive for victory. The next day, in the early hours of the morning, we set off for Italy. Despite the long and exhausting journey, the picturesque landscape filled me with fantastic, positive energy. Upon arrival, the atmosphere was incredible, and the emotions injected me with the enthusiasm and dopamine I needed once again. Despite the fatigue from the journey, I decided to step onto the ice and skate a few laps to acclimate myself. It was crucial to gauge the hardness of the ice, the bumps, any significant defects, and especially the air currents. All these factors were vital preparations before a race, particularly when the rink was outdoors. Another fantastic surprise awaited us upon arrival at the rented apartment for our stay. The house belonged to a prominent former coach and technician from the world of Italian football. Football and cycling hold emblematic status for Italians. The interior architecture and decor of the house were splendid, but the highlights were the paintings by his daughter, a skilled artist. To be honest, I had no idea when I made the reservation that we would end up in such a beautiful place. It seemed as though the universe was attempting to compensate in some way for the previous suffering to which I had been subjected. After a peaceful night and restful sleep, I was ready for the first race of the championship. Despite feeling very weak, my mind was focused solely on victory. It's astonishing how our outlook on life and the future can profoundly alter everything. I arrived prepared to win, fully convinced that nothing could hinder my path to victory. Today, I felt in excellent shape, especially mentally. As I prepared for the 500-meter race, my gaze turned to my fiancée, who, with emotions running high, supported every step of mine from outside the track. With my thoughts focused on the next goal, I prepared to enter the starting area, leaving everything behind and focusing only on what I had to do. Once in the starting position, I looked up for one last glance at the rink. I visualized the first 10 steps, and then silence fell. I closed my eyes and waited for the sound of the gun that put me into a trance-like state. You don't even have time to breathe in the first 100 meters. Rational thinking in the 500-meter race is almost non-existent. In those 38 seconds, there is no room for analysis and calculations. You are fully aware for a maximum of 10 seconds throughout the race. That's where the raw form of training comes into play. Have you managed to acquire all the necessary qualities during training so that the autopilot knows exactly what to do? If not, you've lost. There is no room for mistakes, no room for fears or emotions. When I crossed the finish line, I could feel the muscles in my legs burning. I could barely stand on my skates. It was then that I realized how exhausted I was. I struggled to find the air to breathe. I felt my suit constricting and my blood burning in my veins. I was so depleted that I didn't even manage to see the time on the scoreboard, but I didn't believe I had won. The wait for the results was driving me insane, and I'm not a calm person by nature. Everything changed after nearly 10 minutes. When I saw the final times, I dropped my phone. With tears of joy, I embraced Diana and we began to dance. I had won first place in the 500 meters. It seemed incredible, but all my ambition and hard work had paid off. At that moment, I thought, what if I hadn't shown up? Here, the following phrase is very valid. The first condition to win is to show up at the starting line. The awards ceremony came a few hours later, by which time we had gone out to celebrate. On a beautiful winter day, the sun rose triumphantly in the sky as if celebrating my victory. Inspired by the saying, "When in Italy, act like an Italian," we decided to enjoy the local delights, traditional pastries and the lively aroma of Italian coffee. Every sip was pure pleasure. The awards ceremony was an emotional moment in a room buzzing with energy, filled with athletes accompanied by their supporters, the press, and all the organizers. Amidst the enthusiastic applause, I stepped onto the podium alongside my two main rivals. Being there, at the top of the world, was an unparalleled honor. The awards ceremony was memorable, but the emotions and applause couldn't keep the cold at bay. Returning home, I felt that a possible cold was waiting to take hold. Although it was recommended to stay indoors and rest a little, the temptation to go out onto the ice for a training session couldn't be ignored. Despite Diana's wise advice to enjoy a cup of hot lemon tea in the quiet of our home, I decided to venture out onto the ice rink. And so I began training on that freezing evening, with dense fog all around. I could feel the cold seeping deeper into my bones, and the low temperature and icy winds didn't make things any easier. However, my determination was stronger than reason, and the result was a deplorable state the next morning: coughing, shivering, and fever, clear signs that the cold had taken hold. Furthermore, it seems I contracted a virus, and since my body was weakened, my immune system was severely affected, leading to immediate symptoms. The next race was scheduled for Thursday, when I was supposed to compete in the 1,500-meter event. I still had that crucial day for rest and recovery, but instead of feeling calm, I was becoming more and more panicked. Unfortunately, the night brought a return of the fever and a worsening cough. it was clear that I had no chance of competing in the 1500-meter event. The risk of worsening my condition was too high. Breathing in the icy air at -5 degrees alongside the persistent cough was simply an insurmountable challenge. Even though I desperately wanted to compete, I decided that my health came first. In the days that followed, the virus continued to wreak havoc. The situation was even more complicated because Diana also fell ill, and both of us were exhausted in bed. This cold had a devastating impact on my physical and mental well-being. I felt that all my strength and energy had been drained. Days and weeks passed, and I couldn't skate or train at all because of the illness, which turned into pneumonia. This respiratory condition marked my entire season. It wasn't until mid-February that I managed to resume training. I missed the national championships of Romania this year. I tried to participate in the 500 meters race, but I didn't manage to achieve a time that met my expectations. I abandoned the rest of the races because I was still coughing heavily and didn't want to worsen my condition. The doctor advised me not to exert myself physically at all. But who would listen to such a frustrating piece of advice? March brought both the end of the season and a series of important competitions. Between March 9th and 11th, the Netherlands hosted the World Pentathlon Championships, a competition where I had real chances to win at least 3 gold medals. Until the last moment, I hoped that my condition would improve enough to compete. Unfortunately, reality was different. This time, I had to stay home. The latest medical evaluations showed that I only had 80% lung capacity and still suffered from a persistent cough. With tears in my eyes, I watched the races on TV. I was resigned. On March 13th and 14th, the last competition in my calendar for this season was scheduled. It was the last chance to meet at least the time goals set to achieve a new personal and national record. We left for the Netherlands on March 10th, and after 12 hours of driving, upon arrival, we were pleasantly surprised to discover the house where we would stay for the next week. At least this aspect brought us a bit of joy. It was a beautiful home, with rustic design and impeccable taste. Surely, it didn't look as impressive in photos. The next day, I was on the ice. Groningen. The first training session after weeks of break. Although I was excited, I couldn't ignore the weakness I was in. I tired quickly, lost my strength and speed. I was exhausted. However, my mental strength was to be a crucial ally in overcoming this condition. I just wanted to channel my energy into this final competition and give it my all in the last 2 events of the season. I knew I couldn't do anything more now. My advantage was strictly mental, and the training I had done until January had to be enough. I had to win with the weapons I possessed. The day before the competition, I stepped onto the ice rink in Heerenveen, Thialf, the European mecca of speed skating. There, I set foot for the first time exactly 1 year ago, a place charged with energy which makes me feel like a gladiator seeking his destiny in the arena of competition. I love to feel the pulse of the place and try to absorb its energy. On the day of the competition, I was truly excited and eager to compete. I hadn't felt this good throughout the season, and I'm strictly talking about my mental state here. My body was simply the machine ready to execute what dictated to it from the command center. Everything went perfectly before the 500-meter race. I adopted a different preparation strategy for this race. I lined up at the start line without emotions, being at an optimal level of nervousness and relaxation. I had the best start of the entire season, followed by a decent time for the next 400 meters. The final result was extraordinary. I managed to go under the 39-second mark for the first time in my career. It was a new personal record, a remarkable achievement. However, the critic in me didn't let me fully enjoy it. He knew what he knew. I could do better. Unfortunately, the 1,000 meters race that followed in less than an hour was another challenge for me. At the start of the 1,000-meter race, everything seemed fine, but then it happened. The blade of my left skate came loose, I lost balance, made a wrong move, and fell hard, hitting the ice forcefully. At the moment, adrenaline dulled the pain, but after a few minutes I felt it more and more intensely. I was deeply disappointed. I had set high goals for the next day, but now I could barely walk. After enduring an afternoon of torment and a long, restless night, I awoke in the morning with a fierce determination to push beyond my limits. And I succeeded, breaking the previous record in the 500 meters by 4/10, and despite even greater difficulties, I managed to establish a new season record in the 1,000 meter. My heart overflowed with gratitude and joy, recognizing that my victory was also a triumph for my team. Together, we weathered trials and celebrated triumphs, proving that perseverance, hard work, and faith can propel us farther than we ever imagined. Yet I understand that what lies ahead will demand significant effort. Our next goal looms large, and the sacrifices required will be commensurate. I offer heartfelt thanks to God for the blessings bestowed upon me and for the ultimately happy outcome. Despite facing numerous challenges and setbacks, each one provided invaluable lessons. Looking back, even the hardships appear as gifts, revealing my inner strength and resilience. Sometimes life must break us or challenge us to our core to reveal our true essence. This experience taught me that in life, it's not just about the obstacles you encounter, but about how you rise after each fall. It's about refusing to give up, even when it seems like the whole world is crumbling around you. And above all, it's about self-confidence, about the ability to remind yourself that you are stronger than any challenge. When you refuse to believe in yourself, you give up the greatest power you will ever have, self-confidence. I hope my story has inspired you and that you will find the motivation to overcome any obstacle that comes your way, whether it's in sports or any other area of life. Each of you has a dream and a passion worth pursuing with confidence and determination. As I learned from my own experience, when you truly believe in yourself and your path, victory is only a matter of time.